All right, this is going to be episode 31 with my brother. Hopefully, this episode is going to be jam-packed full of information. We're going to start off with some answering the internet. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
What is the youngest age child that could beat you up?
I'll need some details. I don't know, like
the youngest age child that could beat you up?
I mean, they come in different like shapes and sizes. I've seen 8-year-olds that can whoop my ass. Now, I have seen some like 18-year-olds that look like 6-year-olds though. So like, how does that factor in? Like,
it's the youngest age child that can beat you up.
I'm just gonna say like on average.
Yeah.
So on average. I'm gonna say 12. Well, a good
12?
size, a good size 12-year-old.
Really?
I've seen some big 12-year-olds, like
12,
like a good size 12-year-old. You're seeing it like you have any idea how big they get?
12-year-olds?
I've seen 6 foot.
They're not 6 foot.
6 foot.
A 6 foot
12-year-old. I swear to God, I've seen them.
I don't think so.
I've seen them.
No.
I was.
Where did you see them? Like in Chernobyl? they're like full of radiation.
I swear, man. Like those 3 hands of his.
There's 12-year-olds are not getting 6 foot.
They do. I swear to God, they do. I've seen it.
No.
And when I was 12 years old in school, I saw it. I swear to God. So I was 5'10". When I was 12, I was.
No,
I was 5'10".
I'm googling right now. Average height of 12-year-old. What do you think it is?
Average height of
12-year-olds.
Male or female? That's important.
Male.
5'6".
58 inches. How many feet is that?
Oh.
Well, it's 12 divided by 58. You know that?
I could work it out. I don't want to.
I mean, 58 divided by 12.
Good job.
That's 4'8".
4 what?
4'8".
That's average for male 12-year-olds?
Yes.
What?
4'8".
Where?
Everywhere.
Nah.
Yeah.
With the Shire?
With what?
The Shire?
What do you mean the Shire?
Where I went to school, 12-year-olds were on average like 5'6", like 5'7".
4'8".
Mm-mm.
That's the average 12-year-old.
I don't believe it.
So where's your argument now?
In my memory.
Well, then you must have just seen some type of mutant.
So everyone in my school was mutants? Including me?
Including what?
Including me?
I don't think that you were.
I was.
You were not 5'10" and 12.
5'10". I was 5'10".
No, you weren't.
I was.
No, you weren't.
I was.
So what are you now?
I'm 6'1".
No, you're not.
I am.
No, you're not.
I am.
Because you're shorter than me.
Oh, no,
I'm 6'2".
Stand up.
Stand up.
Stand up.
You're at least an inch and a half below me now. Yeah. And I'm 6'2". You're no.
I'm like same exact height.
Wait, we will break out the measuring tape.
I'm same height as you. I swear to God.
No, you're not.
I am.
Do you want? Are we gonna have to get out the measuring tape?
You want to fight?
we can fight. You're probably like 5'10".
No. What? No.
5'11". I'll give you 5'11".
No.
Yeah.
I've been measured. It's 6'1".
With what did you measure with an official measuring tape?
I was measured at the doctor's office.
With an official measuring tape?
No, if you used the big one.
How did you have your shoes on?
No, they took them. I took them off.
they took them off?
Yeah, they took them off.
I
wouldn't let. I was kicking. And they had to hold me down
to measure you.
Yeah.
You know the doctor's measuring tapes are stretched.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Why? What's the purpose behind that?
I don't know. To make you feel like you're bigger than you are.
That would make sense, actually. that would be good service.
Explains
why it's so expensive.
They lied to you.
No. So where'd you measure yourself or something?
Yeah, I measured myself with an official measuring tape.
But you weren't measured by an official. I'm supposed to.
No, I was measured by an official.
Are you
I scheduled the appointment.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Mm-hmm.
You ready for this next one?
Sure.
Would you rather have wet socks for a whole year or a year-long cold?
What sock? Oh my god. You have any idea how bad that would be? You heard of trench foot? You have permanent trench foot.
Say you don't get that.
Okay.
Like
so
no
you're-
bacteria
you're
grows
just-
or nothing. You just have wet socks.
Okay. You're just uncomfortable. What was the other one? A cold?
Yeah, or a cold that lasts a year.
Cold sucks. But wet feet sucks. And like you can't go nowhere. You can't be on the carpet.
Why?
You're gonna leave like giant.
You don't leave wet
You're
footprints.
gonna make water.
Just the inside of
Okay,
your socks are
it's-
wet.
That's crazy.
Say it's like a waterproof sock
Okay.
that is filled with water,
Like
so
a-
it's just the inside
Like a
that's
foot
wet.
condom. That's tough. I mean, I'd rather go with wet feet, and if there's no actual downside to it, other than just being uncomfortable.
So you'd rather have wet feet.
Mhm.
What if it was like a 6-month cold or wet feet? Cut it in half.
I mean, still,
You still rather have wet feet?
Mhm.
Fair enough. I think I'd probably have wet feet too. Because I would not want a year-long cold.
Yeah, that sucks.
I feel like that would just be miserable.
Can't do anything.
You could still do everything.
I mean, you'd suck doing everything. Like you'd have to have tissues everywhere you go, or else you're making a mess of yourself. You know.
Oh, you mean for the cold?
That's the alternative is so much worse.
Yeah, I think wet feet would be the way to go. Now this is one for you.
All right.
If you had to go to war, would you choose to go during the Middle Ages, the Revolutionary War, or World War One?
Definitely not World War One, because the average lifetime of a soldier on the front lines was like 12 minutes.
Really?
Mm-hmm. When in combat, yeah.
See, I don't know much of a difference between these three.
You know what the
time
average
frames.
lifetime of pilots was in World War One?
22 minutes.
4 seconds, I believe it was. 4 seconds. The second they get into combat, 4 seconds on average.
So the 4 seconds of combat?
4 seconds of combat.
Because 4 seconds is like just barely getting off the ground.
Yeah. Well, no. You get off the ground, you get into the air, and the second you get into a combat zone, 4 seconds you're dead. Within 4 seconds.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So definitely not World War One.
So what year range? What is the year difference between Middle Ages and Revolutionary War?
The year difference? A couple hundred. You're talking about some medieval ages.
What's Middle Ages? Like 1500s?
Middle Ages? No. Middle Ages was, I believe it was 10 to 1400s.
And one's Revolutionary War.
era. Revolutionary Wars. Wait, what do you mean Revolutionary era? Like Revolutionary War, American Revolutionary War.
So it says Revolutionary War.
Okay, so that was 1770s. So that was I mean,
So we're talking like a 500-year difference. Roughly.
big difference. Actually, you know what? Easy answer. I would definitely take medieval era. You know why?
You take what?
Medieval era. You know why?
It just says Middle Ages.
Middle Ages.
Is that medieval?
Era. That's medieval era. Yeah, Middle Ages was medieval era.
And
So-
why would you take that?
The average height of a middle-aged person, medieval era person, was like 5'4".
Okay.
People were short back then, so I would be a giant on the battlefield. Like I'd get like a Zweihander, like the biggest sword.
You might be a giant, but then you'd be also a bigger target.
So I could wear plate armor. Plate armor can literally bounce off arrows. I'd be invisible.
You act like it's like you're just gonna put on like some like you're gonna put in some like armor cheat code and then you're just gonna be good.
Plate armor can bounce arrows. It can. Look it up.
So you're just gonna like run right through them.
Oh yeah, that happened a lot in history.
And then what are you gonna do? You're gonna have a sword and you're just gonna like swing.
Just this Zweihander just cutting massive holes in the rings. Just like be the first in line. Just
What are you gonna do whenever you start getting tired?
See, that's when I just like go back to the field and rest for a bit.
Are you just gonna hope they don't like shoot you in the kneecaps?
With you being as big as you are, you'd be like the most valuable soldier on the field. So like, people are gonna get out of your way. You'd be like, make room for this guy. Let him get some rest so he can continue doing his thing.
They could see you as a negative because you're gonna eat more food. You're gonna take up more space.
Not that much.
Oh yeah.
And then the positives easily outweigh the negatives. Like, you have any idea how big of an advantage that would be? The reach advantage you'd have. Oh my god.
I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'd just be a bigger target. And I think you get taken down way faster.
If you have good armor, a shield, a good shield.
The armor's not gonna bounce off arrows.
It is
forever.
It is. What do you think? What's gonna rot off?
You think it's gonna bounce them off forever?
Yeah. As long as it doesn't get between the cracks, which is very unlikely. it's gonna bounce.
Because you got to think you're going to be, if you're that much bigger than everybody, you're the number one target because you're the biggest.
So archers don't have pinpoint accuracy.
So
They
if
just keep firing the
everyone's
blobs.
shooting at you, you're getting say you're getting hit with hundreds of arrows.
Hundreds,
You're going down.
I'd be in a crowd. How am I going to take? How it's not possible for if let's say
If you're a bigger target,
I'm not going to be taking all the arrows.
but you're going to be taking the majority of
I'm going
them.
to have a shield.
You're going to take hundreds of them.
If I have a shield, I can just raise up my head and catch all the arrows.
I think you play too many video games.
Not what?
That's not how
Video games teach you the exact opposite.
That's not how it's going to be.
In medieval warfare, plate armor was able to bounce arrows. Crossbows were the only thing they could really do. Crossbows, siege engines, and like.
So what are you going to do when you get hit with one crossbow?
Well,
Because it's also going to take is one crossbow.
where it's going to land. That's the thing. Like if it lands in the most heavily armored part, it won't get very deep. It won't do much damage. But if it
Where's
lands
the most heavily armored part?
breastplate, like probably right here in the chest,
So what if they hit you like in the neck?
you're dead. That's the cracking armor. But you have any idea how hard it is to get hit, and especially with crossbows coming at an angle, it's not going to hit your neck.
You don't know that.
It'd have to be the luckiest shot to hit your neck. And if you have a shield, it's not going to hit your neck.
Okay, so how many crossbows do you think they have?
Depends on the battle. Depends on where I'm fighting. They might not even have crossbows.
So let's say they have 12 crossbows.
That's it. And
What do you mean that's okay? Let's say they have 100.
How many people do I have with me? I mean, it's a battle. I'm not going to be alone. My own.
Let's say they have 50 crossbows.
Mm-hmm.
They're all coming for you because you're the biggest. You're the first thing they see.
I got my boys with me.
Your boys that are all gonna run out of the way. They're not gonna be like
they're
body
They're going to have shields. You have any idea how every single army on the face of the earth had shields?
So you think they're all gonna protect you?
They're going to protect each other, me included. I'm going to crouch down with my shield. They're going to have their shields, and we're going to put our shields together to make a big wall of shields, and it's going to shield ourselves from the arrows.
So you're gonna be like you're gonna have like a riot shield from Modern Warfare 2.
My right shields were from history. They got their training from the Romans, but essentially, yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think you have a chance.
Okay,
I would probably do World War One, and I'd be a pilot.
you're insane.
I'd be a pilot.
Yeah. I mean, they got paid a lot. They
I'd
just so lucky to die.
I'd just get it over with because you're gonna die either way.
Yeah.
While you get hit with crossbows.
Mm-hmm.
If you were a general in the Civil War and you could get a T-Rex or a modern tank to fight on your side, which one would you choose?
T-Rex 100%. T-Rex ain't gonna run out of fuel. It's gonna be just as resistant to the musket balls. The cannon will probably bring it down, but the musket balls are never getting to that skull, never getting to the skin, never getting to anything, essential muscles and organs. They never take that thing down. Muskets will do nothing to a T-Rex. You ever seen a crocodile bounce a bullet from a rifle?
No.
You have to shoot crocodiles in a very specific place to kill them. Otherwise, its skull is so hard it'll bounce the bullet. Imagine how hard a T-Rex is.
It'll bounce certain bolts.
Yeah, if you shoot it with a Barrett 50 caliber, it'll go right through. But if you hit it with the 22, it'll just bounce right off.
That's a 22.
Yeah,
that's a very weak gun.
Well, that's why you have to bring powerful guns. But back in Civil War era, they had the weakest guns.
I bet anything. Take a step up, say a 9mm. I bet you could shoot an alligator anywhere and it would go through.
Oh no,
100%.
No,
100%. Yeah.
Let's find a crocodile.
What do you want to go get a crocodile right now?
Mm-hmm.
So, but a T-Rex is going to go down way faster than a tank.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Tank will run out of gas. Tank's going to run out of gas.
Diesel, but
they don't have gasoline.
What do you mean?
And Civil War era,
it comes with a full tank.
It's going to run out.
But it's not going to. It's going to run out way slower than your T-Rex is going to live.
What? How is the T-Rex going to die? How? Let's say you're in a line. You stand up. You and your boys. 50 of your men. All right, it's about the size of a regiment. Well, not a regiment, but rank and file back then.
Okay.
You and your boys. You got your muskets. T-Rex coming at you. All right. Generally on top.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be terrifying. Your commander is after he gets done soiling himself, he gives the order to fire, bounces off, bayonets ready, and then T-Rex just.
You think the muskets are just going to bounce off the T-Rex?
Yes.
What do you think the T-Rex is like made of armor?
It's a T-Rex.
What about it? It's just a
T-Rex.
big animal.
It's a T-Rex.
It'd be the same as it'd be the equivalent of like an elephant.
Its skull is like 4 inches thick.
You don't have to shoot it in the skull.
You know how tough a horse is? People think that if you shoot a horse in the chest with a gun, it's going down instantly. Horses are tough.
It will go down.
It won't.
A horse?
The amount of muscle that the bullet has to get through to get the vital organs, it's tough to bring down a horse.
A horse is no tougher than a deer, a big deer, or an elk.
They are. They have a lot more muscle in the front.
No.
Mm-hmm. Like in the medieval era.
You are wildly misinformed.
In the medieval era, arrows weren't that effective against horses. Horses could get pin cushioned by arrows as long as it didn't make one really lucky shot in between the muscles. The horse's muscle just
how long do you think your T-Rex would make it?
I don't think it would stop until a cannon shot, a perfectly placed cannon shot.
Like length of time. How long do you think it would make it?
Oh, several battles. I think
several battles,
days of constant battles before it went down.
No,
absolutely.
I would give it. I would say 30 minutes before it's dead.
What? How? What kills it? What kills it?
It would bleed out.
From what?
From all the arrows and muskets.
Arrows?
Yeah.
In the Civil War. What
about it?
Arrows in the Civil War.
They don't have arrows?
Arrows in the Civil War.
They don't have arrows?
Where'd you go to school?
They don't have arrows?
Where'd you go to school?
What do they have?
They have muskets.
They don't have arrows? There's no archers?
The only people using arrows back then would be the Native Americans. And that's a stretch because they had been using guns for about 100 years by then.
Okay, well then muskets.
Muskets.
You don't think a musket is gonna? You don't think a musket's gonna make
the hide of a T-Rex?
You don't think so?
No. If a crocodile is basically immune to arrows, you ever seen
a crocodile is not immune to arrows?
They are.
No.
You ever seen a video of people trying to hunt crocodiles with bow and arrows?
No.
It doesn't do anything. It does nothing. Bupkis. And a T-Rex is just a super crocodile. Wouldn't do anything.
Let me see what the internet says right here. A T-Rex hide is slightly scaled up version of an alligator.
And alligators are tough.
So slightly scaled up from an alligator.
The hide is toughness, matching an alligator better than it. Way more muscle. Way more muscle. Much bigger and thicker bones. That's just, how would you get through that?
How many people are in like a squad?
As in a line?
Yeah, that would all have muskets that would be shooting at the same time.
In that era, well, they'd all bounce off probably, but not bounce off, but they just get embedded like an inch deep into nothing. But in a rank and file, let's see, for that era, most armies were about 60,000. Our army was like 60,000 big.
So you think this T-Rex is going to take
and a rank and file would be maybe 60 men. 60 men to be a line.
So how many shots could this T-Rex take per battle? Do you think?
I think it wouldn't go down from musket fire. I think
how many times do you think it would be shot?
How many times during a battle? Everyone would be shooting at it, so it'd probably get shot well over 1,000 times per battle.
So you think it would take you could shoot a T-Rex with over 1,000 shots, and it'd be just fine.
Oh yeah,
and just be just ready to go for another one.
Mm-hmm.
No way.
It might lose an eye.
Not even close.
Oh yeah, it would.
I wasn't even thinking about the eyes. You get one shot in the eye, it's dead.
How is it? It's not gonna kill it.
Yeah.
No.
What's right behind the eye? What's right behind the eye?
You'd have to penetrate all the way through the eye.
What's right behind the eye?
You have any idea
what is right behind the eye?
The T-Rex brain is small.
What's right behind the eye?
The T-Rex brain is small and surrounded by bone.
What's right behind the eye?
I just said the T-Rex's small brain, which is surrounded by bone.
The brain.
Surrounded by bone.
The brain.
Surrounded by bone.
What do you think is going to happen?
Surrounded by bone.
What do you think is going to happen whenever a musket ball rips through its brain?
These things are not that powerful.
What do you think is going to happen?
It's not going to get
It's going to drop.
It's not going to get to the brain.
You don't think?
It's not going to get to the brain.
How do you know?
It's not powerful.
What are you, a T-Rex anatomy expert?
Actually, I've seen multiple documentaries, most on PBS. And
about T-Rexes getting shot by muskets.
I consider myself a subject matter expert with hours studying this specific topic.
Okay,
so I think I know what they're do.
That T-Rex is not going to last.
I think I'm qualified making.
Now the tank, on the other hand,
it's going to run out of diesel. It's going to run out of diesel within the first few hours.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. You have any idea how much the tanks cost? How much they consume fuel? How fast it goes?
Are you
Why-
stupid? The tank, you could literally just drive it over everybody.
How far would you get before you found yourself in the middle of like on a barrier block, a barricade of some kind?
Let me find out how far you can drive tanks.
And how
I
many?
would assume
and
that
tanks-
it's at
most-
least
most
150 to 200 miles.
Most tanks have 60 shots in them. 60 shells. 60 shells is
Yeah.
not gonna be enough.
You don't need just the shells. You don't even need the shells. You can just run people over.
You run people. All right, you run into a block of 500 men.
Yeah.
All right, you get slowed
And they
down.
don't have anything that can stop you.
So it's gonna run out of fuel. One guy climbs on top, opens the hatch, starts stabbing.
No, that guy keeps the hatch locked and he runs over people.
They're gonna start piling on.
You think that they're just gonna drive it like a quarter mile? It's gonna be out of fuel.
Not a quarter mile, but it's gonna run out of fuel within the first battle. It's gonna run out of fuel
No.
within the first day of your combat.
No.
Mm-hmm.
What we're about to see.
You have any idea in World War II how many tanks were abandoned just due to running out of fuel in the middle of combat, or having their fuel tanks?
They can travel
damaged?
about 265 miles.
What kind of tanks?
M1.
M1 Abrams.
Huh?
M1 Abrams.
Let me Google M1 tank.
M1 is Abrams.
This kind of tank right here.
That's an Abrams.
That kind. Right there.
M1 Abrams. And how many?
That would, you know how beneficial that would be? Look at that.
60 shots off.
265 miles. You can
it,
drive this thing. And
It wouldn't be.
and you're going to have guys with muskets that could ride on top of it and they can shoot from there.
How much advantage would that be? Yeah,
What do you mean?
you can put 20
You're
men,
running over
can put-
people while
you
you're
can
shooting
put
them.
20 men on top of a tank with muskets. They get a few lucky shots off because they're moving. You have to stand up still when you're firing a musket. You can't crouch down for it. Be accurate. And
can't- you're
there's
telling
a
me you can't-
massive moving target that everyone's going to look at first and shoot them all off the tank. And then people are going to
Then
climb up
put one guy in the tank and just have him drive around and run people over. And think, how many people do you think is going to get taken out by one shot?
It depends on where it hits. If it hits like just a thin line, it'll take out it'll take out 5 guys. If it hits a block of infantry, if it hits it like an attack column, it could take out 70 men in one shot.
What if it starts launching grenades
From where?
from the muzzle?
What?
The explosive rounds.
HE rounds. So HE rounds still they didn't stand in giant blobs of infantry. They were lines.
The tank is way better.
It's not.
It's a million
really not.
percent better.
It's not. It's gonna run out of fuel.
It's not going to run out of fuel.
It is. It is gonna run out of fuel.
I mean,
It's gonna run out of fuel.
after
It's gonna run
about
out of fuel.
265
It's gonna run out of
miles.
shots.
How big's the battlefield?
It's gonna get clogged
How
up.
big's the clogged up with what?
Human body
No,
parts.
it's
Oh,
going to
no.
keep going.
Nah.
What do you mean?
Mm-mm.
You think it's going to get clogged up?
Yeah.
No.
If your strategy is to run people over and do nothing but run people over,
Yeah, that's the goal.
it's gonna clog up. You're gonna break the parts.
It's
Treads gonna get
unstoppable. Why
It's
would
not
the treads get clogged up? It's just going to crush whatever's in there.
Everything's
Whether it's legs, I mean, the hardest part's going to be femurs. So what are you going to What are they going to start jamming all their femurs in it to jam it up?
it's just gonna clogged up.
It's not going to get clogged up.
up.
You're going to be able to just run straight through crowds.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. No.
Yes.
No.
The tank is way better
The
than the
T-Rex
T-Rex.
is so much better. The T-Rex is more reliable.
It's not more reliable.
T-Rex just needs to
You
eat.
can't even
You have to
control.
get
You
diesel
can't
to
even
function.
control a T-Rex.
This is assuming you can.
You don't even know that you can. If you might just let the T-Rex loose and it might start eating your own men.
That question implies that it says, what would you rather have? If I have a T-Rex, obviously I can control the T-Rex.
So what do you're gonna have a dog clicker and be like, go boy,
I'll just
and then he's gonna know who to start attacking.
I guess you have stirs like a horse. Yeah,
Oh, so
sadly.
you're gonna have to ride the T-Rex.
But that's the best vantage point for a general. As long as you keep your head down.
Keep your head down on the T-Rex.
Yeah.
So and the T-Rex has to eat people to kill him.
I don't see how else you beat it. But I mean, it doesn't have to kill people. You just step on them and kill them.
Okay.
And you have
So
any
you don't
idea
think-
the morale factor is what?
so
The morale factor is
You
big time.
don't think a
More-
tank is going to kill more people than a T-Rex?
It's the T-Rex is going to kill more people than a tank by far. Easily.
No,
Easily.
absolutely not.
Easily. It's a
What
predator.
planet
It tracks
are you,
off
what,
movement.
What
It can
planet are you
fight-
from?
It can fight. It can come at them in the night when they least suspect it, and it can hunt off
Are
movement.
you telling me a tank can't run at nighttime? What is it?
They're
Solar
going to hear
powered?
it from a mile away.
You don't think they're going to hear a T-Rex?
A T-Rex is going to be like, it's going to be stopping, but it's going to be nowhere near as loud. They're hunters.
Are you on crack?
They're hunters. They're designed to be able to move quietly and catch their prey.
A T-Rex.
Yes.
You don't think a T-Rex is going to be loud?
It's not
You're
going to be
gonna
loud as a tank.
They're going to hear that thing from a mile away.
No.
You think you think you're going to jump on top of a T-Rex and just ride it over to like their camp, and they're just like not going to expect anything, and then it's just going to be able to tear everybody apart?
Mhm.
No.
Yeah.
Not even
Mhm.
close.
Mhm. Mm.
You're insane.
No.
The T-Rex is the worst choice possible.
No.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
really is.
And let's think about this as well. The terrain that your tank's going to have to go through is horrible for tanks. You're going to be fighting in swamps. Tanks can't handle swamps.
What do
You're
you
gonna
mean
be
a
fighting in
tank
the
can't handle a
mountains.
swamp?
Tanks break down in swamps all the damn time. You get stuck in a hole in the swamp. You're not coming out of it with the tank.
It's on tracks. It
Tracks
just
get stuck in the mud and they break. You have any idea how many tanks were lost in World War II to mud?
you don't think a
thousands.
T-Rex is gonna get stuck in the mud?
It's a T-Rex,
A T-Rex weighs more than a tank.
but it has feet that it walks on. Like it doesn't. It's not. It's
What,
not.
what
Like,
if
it's
it,
not-
what if it gets sunk? What if
If
it
it
starts
gets-
sinking in the mud?
if it gets one leg?
How are you gonna help it? Have you never seen The Land Before Time?
If it gets
T-Rex gets sunk in the
the difference
the
between a
stuff.
T-Rex and a tank is a T-Rex can feel where the weight in the ground is shifting. It can feel if it's about to step on
You
something.
don't think a good tank operator knows where to drive?
He's not gonna feel the ground under him.
A good tank operator? What do you think he's just gonna be like? Oh, no, 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 no. He's just
A
gonna
good
like
tank
drive
operator-
right into a big
A
mud
good
hole?
tank operator wouldn't go into the swamp in the first place, or the
That's
mountains.
what I'm saying. So you don't think he's just gonna? You think he's just gonna just drive right into a
A
big
lot of the
swamp and
battles
be like, "Oh,
a
I
lot-
didn't know how I was gonna ever get up here."
A lot of the battles in the Civil War happened in swamps,
In swamps,
around swamps, and in swamps.
and a T-Rex is gonna be useless in a swamp.
It's gonna be
He has little
More
itty bitty
effective than a
arms. He
tank.
can't even catch himself. He's just gonna slide around.
nah. Mm-mm.
You have to feed the T-Rex.
No,
You don't have to feed him.
it's gonna feed itself.
What do you
It's gonna
mean?
eat a battalion of men.
And then, okay, so if he's eating people, you know how much lead are on these guys? He's gonna get lead poisoning and die.
I don't think T-Rex would care about lead. And it's
He might not, but his body will.
not going to kill him before he gets the job done.
The T-Rex is not gonna. He's gonna make it 30 minutes, maybe an hour,
No.
and then he's dead.
Mm-mm.
100%.
Mm-mm. No.
Okay, how you said the T-Rex would make it what 2 or 3 battles? You said.
I'd say 2 or 3 battles for a good cannon shot takes it out.
So how many battles do you think a tank would make it?
I'd say 1. I'd say it'd make 1 battle.
What planet are you on?
I think it'd go through 1 battle.
You think just one battle?
1 battle.
You are insane.
All it takes is one thing go wrong. You get stuck in the mud. Somebody breaks open the lock on the hatch. One of your gears. Tanks break down all the time. Even modern day tanks break down all the time. If you break down, if you run out of ammo, you run out of gas, anything goes wrong, your tank's lost.
But the T-Rex is dead. You can fix the tank, but you can't fix a dead
How are you
T-Rex.
gonna fix a tank
What do you mean?
in the middle of combat?
What do you think they do now? Do you think when a tank breaks now, they just go, oh, well,
They usually don't have enough parts to fix a tank on the field. They have to have trucks, repair trucks, come in and bring the parts necessary to repair the tank.
so you don't think a whole battalion of men can carry the parts to where the tank is?
So now you're bringing in the ability. All right, if you can bring in all the supplies you could ever need to fix a tank, I could bring in armor on my T-Rex.
No, you can bring in a T-Rex doctor. But that's all you can have. You're going to armor up your T-Rex?
I'm gonna armor up my T-Rex.
Okay, well then I'm going to armor up my tank.
Tanks. You hear yourself? Yeah,
Do you hear
what more-
yourself?
What more could you possibly do to armor up a tank?
That's
Without-
why the tank
without
is
it
so much
breaking?
better.
The T-Rex doesn't need armor. It doesn't even need it.
It's not that tough.
It is.
It's going to get ripped apart.
It is.
If within 10 minutes it's going to be Swiss cheese and it's going to be bleeding
Mm.
out on
How-
the ground.
How tough do you think muskets are? How strong do you think they are?
They're pretty strong.
The ones they had back then?
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
They're very strong.
Mm-mm.
They shoot way harder than you think.
Mm-mm. No.
Because most of them are probably like 65 and 78 caliber, which is big.
What kind of muskets you shooting?
What do you think they were?
I know exactly what they were.
What?
They were Springfield, I believe. They were
What
earliest
caliber?
model of Springfield. I don't know the caliber.
They were probably 65 or 78 caliber.
No. They didn't hit that hard.
Then what were they?
I don't know the exact caliber.
So you said they were what? Springfield muskets?
I believe so. It was either Springfield or
What war are we talking about? World War One? No.
The Civil War.
Civil War.
Civil War. It depends on which side you're talking about, because the South had really outdated equipment compared to the North.
Rifles of the American Civil War.
The South had mainly squirrel muskets, and the North had actual proper
Let's see
military
if we can
muskets.
find what type. All right, the first one on the list is Springfield Muskets. We'll click on that one and see. What year was this?
This was 1860s.
Okay, 1860s would have been 58 caliber.
58 caliber.
Yeah, that's even better than a 65 or a 78. It's gonna be way faster. Let's see what the feet per second is, if it even has that listing. 4 rounds every minute. That's pretty good.
4 rounds a minute?
That's what it says. Muzzle velocity of 1,300 feet per second. That's fast. It's very fast. That's roughly the speed of a 22, but with way more weight. I don't know what it says the weight of the musket ball is. Maximum fire 500 to 700 yards.
That's maximum.
This T-Rex is dead.
Muskets fall off in range harder than any other gun.
This T-Rex is like
muskets
dead.
Fall off in power over range.
This T-Rex is really dead.
No.
Really dead.
No.
Yeah. No. I wish it showed what weight the ball is, but the T-Rex is dead. That
I hate break it to you, but no.
You just don't know what you're talking about.
I do. I've studied the Civil War extensively.
Apparently not with T-Rexes.
What? No.
I don't even know what else I was going to say.
That you lost?
No, you're an idiot.
No.
T-Rex. No. The T-Rex is dead.
Mm-mm.
All right.
The only thing I can see the T-Rex going down by
is a musket shot.
12-pounder cannon to the head. 12-pounder to the head.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even going to argue this because you're so wrong.
No.
It's okay. I would say if 10 people with muskets versus a T-Rex, within 20 minutes it's dead.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
You need to
100%.
We need to ask Shadiversity about this.
Who?
Shadiversity. He's a YouTuber. He's a YouTuber that does stuff exactly like this. He like settles arguments exactly like this. He goes on and he takes suggestions like if centaurs were real, what weapons would they use and stuff like that. And like he uses like biology and mathematics to represent like what they would be like in real life effectively, and then figure out what would happen from there. It's just really, really good content. And he's the perfect man for this argument. I guarantee he'd.
And I guarantee that you would lose.
I guarantee he'd say.
I guarantee you would lose this
T-Rex
argument.
would beat Tank.
But completely forget about the T-Rex or Tank.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know how long a T-Rex would survive against muskets.
It'd last pretty long.
Because it wouldn't be long.
It would.
With 10 people, it would be dead in 20 minutes.
No.
100%.
No.
And then there would be how many people would have muskets shooting at it?
Depends on the battlefield.
Average.
At any given time, one musket ball might be a couple hundred men.
Okay, so let's say 100. 100 guys with muskets shooting 4 rounds a minute at a T-Rex, dead in no time.
Nah.
Yeah. And if not dead, it's running the other direction because it's going to be scared because it has feelings.
That's another thing. Morale. You have any idea how battles were won with morale? And people.
Have you ever seen what happened? Okay, any animal, anywhere. If you say any average animal, if you throw a rock at it, what's it do?
This is a T-Rex.
What if you throw a rock at any animal?
It's not even gonna be a see the rock.
You can take a what's another big like a moose, and you can throw a little pebble at it, and once it hits it, it's gonna run away. So you're telling me that you scale that out to a T-Rex, and then you're gonna tell me it taking hundreds of shots a minute, which would be the equivalent of say rocks maybe. It's not gonna run away until it bleeds out and dies.
No, because I have control of it. It'd be trained. You can train a horse to charge into musket fire. You can train a T-Rex to do this.
You think you're going to train a T-Rex to charge into musket fire?
This is assumed that I already have.
So, I can't even describe to you how wrong you are.
I could say the same thing about you.
you are way wrong.
Nah.
Okay, you want to move on to the next thing?
Sure.
So the next thing is the SpaceX shuttle launch, which I have reason to believe was taking place inside of a studio. And would you like to know why?
Nope.
No. What do you mean?
Nope.
Well, too bad.
Just end the podcast here.
Huh?
Just end the podcast here.
You're going to see it. So this is the live stream from NASA. You can see right here. NASA verified account. No Photoshop, no trickery, nothing. This is the 9-hour live stream. And for the people that are watching, if you want to go rewatch this yourself, at 4 hours, 30 minutes, and 5 seconds is when this happens. I'm going to hit play, and I want you to pay attention right here.
Okay.
Ready? Get your eyes peeled? You ready?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, that second stage continuing to power Dragon into orbit. Again, if you're keeping an eye on that timer, that's going to continue to burn until 8 minutes and 4.
You didn't see it?
No.
Well, then you're not paying attention.
I'm looking where you said.
Okay, it changes from this shot to another shot, but you're going to look right here.
What am I looking for?
What you're looking for is there is a mouse on the spaceship.
Right.
And just pay attention right here. It'll switch shots. It'll be a different shot of this engine, but you'll see it.
Meanwhile, that second stage continuing to power Dragon into orbit.
See it?
And if you're keeping an eye on that timer, that's going to continue to burn until 8 minutes and 40.
You see that?
Is there a way you can zoom in? Where you can zoom in?
Yeah, I can zoom in. I kind of like halfway zoom in. Yeah, kind of.
Try to get a better shot of it.
Oh, whoops! It's trying to. I have to zoom out, and then maybe I can. Maybe not. Okay.
Meanwhile, that second stage continuing to power Dragon into orbit.
See it?
Again, if you're keeping an eye,
It gets
on that
pushed
timer,
down,
that's
and then you can see it hop away.
I do.
Do you see that?
I see it. That is a mouse. That is a mouse.
That's the number one reason why I believe that this is completely staged.
That is beyond a shadow of a doubt. That is a mouse.
Huh. So how does that make you feel?
You've piqued my interest. You have piqued my interest.
See, I didn't even really see anybody like notice this, and then I was watching this live stream back because I wanted to kind of like pick it apart and see.
You were the first one to see this.
No, I'm sure I probably wasn't the very first one.
But you see this, saw this on your own. You didn't just like see a video.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
I was just watching this and I was like, "Whoa, hold on a minute, what was that?" Because I was watching it to pick it apart because I wanted to see. Because I'm curious. Because I don't even know if we've ever even been to space. I don't know how much of this is like a facade.
I know that you don't believe that. I do because I think it's kind of insane.
But this is what like I was kind of like I didn't not believe that we went to space, but I would like kind of look into it and just wonder like what kind of evidence is there that we didn't? Just like have something to ponder on. Yeah. And then while I was picking this live stream apart, trying to figure out like just see what's fake, what's not, or whatever. Then I saw that and I was like, hold on a minute. And then I zoomed in and saw it more. And then I was like, that's a mouse. How would a mouse be in zero gravity on the engine of a spaceship?
Yeah. It's pretty damning.
Yeah. And everybody I've showed that to, even like hardcore space people, they're like, I don't know what that is, but and they just like brush it off like nothing.
Yeah, at first I was like, that might be just debris or something. But like, no, I saw the tail, I saw the white fur underneath. That's a mouse.
And how it like hops up to the other side.
It doesn't move like a piece of debris. It moves like a mouse.
Which even because I was also trying to think like what else would it even be, and I was thinking like nothing else would even, if this was really, because this is supposedly this is traveling at like 17,000 miles an hour. So like what, that doesn't make any sense. It's like how would anything even be hold on from Earth to there if it was really going that fast? So that's like 90% of my argument is that. Probably 80%. The other arguments I have is let me see if I can find a good shot. Okay, this. When it, like stuff like this, whenever they all the cameras throughout this entire live stream, all the cameras that are inside the spaceship or inside the shuttle are all at the worst possible angle to see anything. Like the absolute worst. Like this camera angle right here is horrible. You can't see anything outside of the shuttle.
Yeah.
And I want to know why there's not a single camera that points to the outside so that you can see what they see looking outside like the windows of the shuttle. Like, why is nobody trying to capture the shot from the ground of them going straight up through the atmosphere? Like, why is nobody trying to catch that shot? You think that would be $1 million video to see a POV of the shuttle going straight up out of the atmosphere?
I mean, there is footage. Like, there is footage of exactly that. You can find footage of that, but in this instance, yeah.
And all of the angles that are inside of the space shuttle, like this one, and then there's another camera like somewhere around here that's like this same shot but from the other side that also like shows basically nothing. And it's all, and I think there's another camera like behind them that's angled just perfectly so that you can see just these monitors and then just this, but you can't see through this window below them. Yeah. Like the screen is cut off right there. And also, I wish I had timestamps to show you this. So this is where it's at now is before they launch. I'm gonna try. Okay, that's before they launch. Whenever it's I should have had this timestamped. But whenever the shuttle is coming back to space, whenever it's like the shuttle goes up and then like the engine or whatever separates and it's coming back down. Whenever it's coming back, like it separates and they have a camera like on the top of it pointing down. So it's like coming down and then you see it coming down to Earth. And then it looks like, I'd say it's roughly somewhere like halfway between the atmosphere and Earth. And then as it's coming down, all of a sudden they magically lose video. And then 2 seconds later, the video comes back and it's just perfectly sitting on a platform in the middle of the ocean. And then there is another shot where they're filmed whenever this shuttle meets up with the International Space Station, and you see, or maybe it's when it separates. Something separates at some point, like actually in space, and it shows it connected, and then just magically somehow, but right before it disconnects, they lose video. They lose the video feed, and then the feed comes back whenever it's like a good ways out in space, and the inside looks completely different of what they showed like 10 seconds before. And before every single major event, they lose video, and then they come back after the event's pretty much over. Before every single event.
That is suspicious.
And I'm gonna see if I can. I think the rest of this is just talking. Actually, we'll do this just because I want to show this video. We'll take a small break and then I'll find the video and then we'll come back. Okay, we're back. So it turns out I'm semi-moron, and the part that I was looking for happens directly after the mouse. So I'm actually going to back up just a little bit. All right, there probably. And then you see the screen on the screen on the right is the engine coming back down to Earth. So here we go.
Dragon Tappy's nominal trajectory.
Continuing to check in with Bob and Doug as they are on a nominal trajectory. Just about 10 seconds away from that first stage.
So you see it's way above the
entry
clouds.
burn on your right screen. We should be able to see that view live.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
And there is that entry burn beginning. This burn lasts about 36 seconds long.
Stage 2 FTS is saved.
There's that other shot that I was talking about. That's like
That
the
entry burn
worst
continues.
angle
We're
ever.
just about a minute away from Seco. We'll have a number of events all happen in rapid succession. It'll be the second engine cutoff.
Stage 1
We'll be looking for that stage 1 landing burn shortly after.
Actually, just within a few seconds of each other. Such a cool view on your left screen, seeing Bob and Doug on Dragon. Right now, you can see the displays that they are seeing right now themselves.
Terminal guidance. And back throttle step.
We are coming up 25 seconds or so away from SECO, or second engine cutoff.
This is also the point where Bob and Doug are experiencing
right
their
there.
highest G-force. We're seeing the counter tick up to right about
Stage
1.8.
Copy Shannon.
And it's
You heard
above us.
Shannon, so that
And
just
what?
means they're in their
Was it,
final
like,
abort zones.
below,
If
and
they
was it
were
in a
to
different
abort at
spot when
this
it came back
point,
on for that second?
that'd be an abort to
For
orbit or to
not
land
really. It was
off
kind of in the same spot.
coast.
But it comes. But
Ireland,
they cut it off,
standing by
and then
for
they show us
stage 1
this,
cutoff
Mhm.
information.
And back throttle step.
and then the next shot you'll see
And back shutdown.
whenever they show it, it'll just be sitting perfectly on a platform.
Yeah.
Confirmation of SECO's second engine cutoff.
Now we are waiting for our first stage to make its way to our drone ship. Of course, I still love you.
Dragon SpaceX nominal orbital insertion.
Launch
It's
escape system
confirmation
is
of
disarmed.
nominal
Dragon
orbital
Tappy's
insertion.
nominal
Stage
orbital
1 landing leg
insertion.
deployed.
What you're seeing on your screen is a live view of our drone ship, where our first stage will be coming down.
See,
Looks like we lost that live view, but
loss of signal,
we'll wait for confirmation of that landing shortly here.
and there it is.
First stage.
Just they lose the signal, and it just perfectly is sitting there.
That was fast.
Exactly.
There's no smoke. There's
And they do this before every single event. It's just bloop, no signal. Oh, there it is. It's already done.
no signal, no audio. How would you even lose the perfect moment? That is sketchy. How it goes out at the perfect moment. Hours of just being rolling constantly, and just before it lands,
Yeah.
turned off.
And then I can. This to me, I mean, you can think what you want. This to me just looks fake.
Oh,
Here,
that's
the
how
space
space has
station
always
is gonna
looked.
welcome Doug
Even
and
the
Bob on
every
board.
single
Like,
space,
They'll be residing
like this
inside
all-
what we
yeah,
call
every single
It just
space
looks-
video ever just looks fake.
That looks just way fake. I think the rest of this video is just kind of.
But we've been told that is how space just looks, and I mean, I don't see any reason to not believe that. even though it does look sketchy, he's like
I see reason to not believe
I've
it.
seen videos of of jets that go just about the atmosphere, and they look the exact same.
Yeah, I think the rest of this is just kind of. I think it's just kind of people blabbing. I'm trying to remember what the other video was that there was. The other one was the whenever the nose cone comes off, it comes off for something, I think, or maybe there's like a cone on the back that comes off, and it's the one that's like getting ready to come off, and then the video cuts, and it like shows it out there. I don't remember what exactly it was supposed to do. Here's a video of them docking. This just looks completely fake to me.
That we could approach or not. So far, our vehicle has been very helpful.
Okay, this where this is missing. That's the video I'm talking about. But I don't know where. Oh, maybe. Maybe not. I don't know which video that happens in.
Technical ground teams will all do their due diligence to make sure that it's still safe to approach.
Does that not look CGI?
Space always looks like that. Space
No,
always,
this right here.
Yeah, I mean, it does. Space always.
And that's
looks
not
like
me
that.
zooming in. That's them zooming in.
Yeah, but space always looks like
Oh
that.
no, the cone is open right there.
Spaces always look like that.
Actually, I think this is CGI.
Spacecraft where you got a cool view. Left side of your screen is the International Space Station. Right side of your screen is Dragon.
There were so many videos I've watched about this. I think now I'm getting everything confused. It might have been them mating up to the space station, maybe that they were like they showed videos of like right before it happened or like whenever they were getting close, and then the videos lost signal and they switched to a 3D animation of it happening, and then they came back whenever it was done.
I think you can see a meatball and American flag on that on the spacecraft.
Because I'm kind of thinking that this is a 3D animation.
The NASA logo, of course, referred to as the meatball.
Or they could be trying to pass this off as the real thing.
About the meatball versus the worm.
Let's just fast forward just a little bit.
Solar cells
Yeah, see that? Does that not look 3D animation to you? How they're zooming in and stuff?
I mean, that's the thing about space.
No, this is supposed to be the real thing.
The thing about space is that it always looks like that. It always has looked like that. It always looks fake.
Because that's what they're trying to portray.
I mean, it would be
Okay,
convenient,
watch this.
but still.
I think that the video is gonna cut, and then it's just gonna like show up.
Very forward and cameras are
so you can thrust her.
right. So we should be getting to waypoint 2.
Come on, where's this at?
From the dock.
Now we're going to be racing that sunset. The approach has resumed.
And why is it so slow?
Dragon closing in.
Well, the space, you don't have not moving fast.
True hands-off point.
I mean, you can, but usually they do it slowly as possible.
About 3 minutes or so.
Maybe it shows the whole video of it docking.
The international docking.
Come on.
Right in that middle, so camera may not.
3 meters to go. 2 meters. We are in.
Yeah, that's what it is. It doesn't lose video, but it's like the angle's like as bad as it can be.
Confirm. Stand by for retraction and docking.
We just heard it soft capture. We have docked.
So that plays. So they'll all work. Gotta be 75%.
Okay. It just there's so many things that happen that like the video cuts the right times. The stuff just like is already done whenever it's just like the shuttle landing, like it's in the sky. Then all of a sudden they just lose signal, and then boom, it's just sitting there perfectly fine.
Yeah,
they don't even catch 1 second of it landing. There's so much.
The in the shuttle landing,
And then of course there's a mouse.
were the two things that raised my eyebrows. Those are the two things that I was like, that is a little. That is
Yeah, like that's a
some-
little odd.
it's not supposed to be there. But the rest of it, like just bad camera angles. I mean, you can't really like say, oh, this has bad camera angles. That must mean they're faking it. Like
It's not, the bad camera angles don't make me think they're faking it. It's just like the icing on the cake. It's just like you're already doing all of this, and then on top of this, you have the worst camera angles possible. Like, I mean, camera angles that are
here's the thing about
camera angles that are just bad enough to hide what you're doing.
Hollywood's already proved that you can make space look exactly like space. Like you can already make you can make space look real. You can get perfect camera angles. If they wanted to, they could have easily done that. Like they could have, if this was fake, they could have gotten camera angles like that were perfect and made it look exactly like the real thing. Because Hollywood's done it a million times.
Right.
But so just because they don't have good camera angles doesn't mean that it's like automatically them faking it.
Right. It's just the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
It's just like you've already done all of this, and then now you have this on top of it.
Mhm.
Like it's not helping their case any. Especially if NASA camera crew, you'd think would be like the best of the best, or extremely close to the best of the best.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It doesn't help their case either that the screens the astronauts are looking at them, it looks straight out of a sci-fi movie. Like it does not look like a space shuttle interior. It looks like a Star Trek thing.
Yeah.
But have you ever seen videos of the this is what convinced me that space is real. Have you ever seen the videos of the scientists on the International Space Station messing with water? How would you fake that?
How do you know it's water?
It is. It just
How do you know it's water?
Look up a video of it.
I mean, I've seen the videos, but how do you know it's water?
What else could it possibly be?
How do you know that they're not shooting these videos inside of like a simulation of zero gravity?
The only way you can properly simulate zero gravity is by going into a plane and dive bombing.
Or you don't think that they have a zero gravity simulation inside of Area 51 somewhere?
How would they even do that?
What do you mean?
How would the math behind that work?
With the alien technology they have in Area 51?
Okay.
What?
Now you're connecting.
What do you mean?
Like,
you don't think that they have alien technology inside of Area 51?
I don't think that there are aliens among us with better technology than we have.
I'm not saying there's aliens there. There could be. There probably is.
If it's alien technology, it has to be from aliens.
Not alien. Like alien doesn't mean from literal aliens. It's just like foreign technology. Foreign.
Foreign from where? From not Earth? That's alien.
Yeah, that's alien, but that doesn't mean it comes from aliens.
Where else could technology doesn't grow off alien trees?
How do you know?
It has to be. Doesn't make any sense.
Anyway, there could be. They. I would not be surprised one bit if they have aliens inside of Area 51 somewhere, and then they have a gravity simulation inside of Area 51.
How would they simulate gravity?
What do you mean?
With
this alien technology,
you'd have to.
We don't know what it is because they won't tell us.
To make a claim like that, you'd have to be able to back it up with a scientific process. How exactly would it work?
If I knew that, do you think I would be sitting here right now?
You'd be dead.
Exactly. I don't know how they do it, but I'm saying that's probably what they do.
I don't see how that's possible. I just don't.
Why not?
It just makes sense.
Have you never listened to or watched Bob Lazar?
No. He's
a guy that I wish I knew all the specifics before this podcast about Bob Lazar, because he was on Joe Rogan's podcast and he has a movie. But he was a worker he worked inside of Area 51. Inside there's like Area 51 is like the whole area, and then he worked in like a subsection of Area 51 called I think S4 maybe, where he was one of the guys that they would bring in these like foreign technologies, and then they would have groups of people that would try to reverse engineer them and how they worked. And he tells his whole story about how he tried to reverse engineer this anti-gravity device.
Uh-huh. Did he break out the math for it?
He doesn't go over the math. But he talks about it, and then he's been saying this stuff since I think the 80s. He's been talking about this stuff. And I think the first thing he talked about, like told everybody about, was some type of like security device that like would read the length of the bones in your fingers or something. He said like to get into S4, he had to like stick his hand into a thing and it would like read the length of his bones or something. And like that's how it knew that rather than like a thumbprint, like that's how it knew it was him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like writing, I don't know if he's writing books or whatever, but he was telling people about this. And it was something that like didn't exist outside of Area 51, and like nobody believed him. And then like years later, that technology started coming out, and they started using that. So then everyone's kind of started giving them some credibility.
What technology?
The scanning technology of like the security device, whatever it was. And then he while he was reverse engineering the anti-gravity device or whatever it was, he discovered some chemical that was. I can't remember the name of it. It was some certain chemical that he found inside of it. And he was like telling people about it. And like nobody had ever heard of it. And it wasn't anything that was discovered. And then like years later, they announced it as like some big discovery that he had already been talking about for years. So that backs up all of his claims. Like slowly his claims have been, that'll be backed up more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can find whatever the chemical was. Element 115 is what he discovered. So there is 100% alien technology inside of Area 51, and they could very well be using the inside of Area 51 to pull this stuff off.
Well, just saying that the government has technology that isn't available to the public is not the same as saying that they have alien technology.
Here's my theory. Here's what I think happens. Like whenever they do like one of these shuttle launches, I think that they launch a shuttle. They really, everyone's there. They see it. They launch the shuttle. It goes up just high enough or just off the distance enough where you can't see it. And then it lands somewhere. And then that's all you see. And then the rest is online through a live stream of wherever else they're showing all this stuff.
So what about the videos that show a shuttle's leaving Earth and they're on the entire way from Earth up to the atmosphere?
What do you mean?
There's videos of that. There's videos of launches starting from the ground, and the video rolls all the way of it passing up through the clouds, and then into the atmosphere.
I'm not saying you can't record up to the atmosphere.
So how would we not have gone to space if we didn't get to the atmosphere?
How do you know that we broke through the atmosphere? How do you know that they don't just go up, record into the atmosphere, and then land somewhere?
If you can get into the atmosphere, you can get into orbit. It doesn't take that much more. You just need to be able to get to a certain point and then turn the structure a certain degree angle and then burn until you reach an orbit.
How do you know?
Because I played Kerbal Space Program.
So you played a space game.
Yeah, and I've watched
a government space game. That's what you played, and that's what you're backing up all of your.
The math behind it makes sense though. It just makes sense when you think about it.
Also, did you know that the International Space Station is approximately 260 miles away, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it takes 2 to 3 days. No, or 1 to 2 days. 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 days to get there. But to get to the moon, which is supposedly 260 something thousand miles away, it only takes an extra day to get there.
Well, when you get past orbit is a difficult thing to get past, according to what we know. So getting up into orbit is the challenging part because you're facing wind resistance, you're facing gravity resistance, you're facing all these resistances. When you get into space, you don't have any resistance. If you just start thrusting in a certain direction, you just get faster and faster and faster and faster. You don't have a cap on how fast you can go. There's no wind resistance. There's no friction. You just get faster and faster and faster and faster and faster until you reach, either run out of fuel or reach the light speed.
Is that what you think?
Yeah.
So that's why you can go like 250 some odd thousand miles in a day.
If you're going fast enough, if you're going 260 something thousand odd miles in per day,
that math just doesn't add up.
how is it not? You can go faster and faster and faster as fast as you want in space until something stops you or you're running out of fuel, and then you just stay at the same
So
speed.
then how do you get whenever you start getting to the moon? How do you slow down? How do you stop?
Reverse thrusters. They have thrusters in the opposite direction, and they just burn them until
Reverse thrusters.
Yes.
How are they burning something without oxygen?
What you don't, Tyler? Do you not understand how rockets work?
What?
Look it up. Look up how a rocket works. How
Tell me.
a liquid fuel rocket works.
How does it burn without oxygen? There's
Look it up.
no air in space.
Look it up.
You tell me.
Look it up.
Do you know?
Guns fire in vacuums.
That's not space. That's
It's the same thing. Space is a vacuum. The only difference is that there's zero gravity. That's the only difference.
Maybe the gravity has an effect.
What effect would it have?
I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Combustion works in space. We know this. It works in vacuums. We know this. We've tested guns in vacuums, and it works in vacuums. You can do it at home. If you own a gun, I mean, I'm not encouraging this, but if you were to take a gun and make it vacuum, which is easy to do, and you put the gun inside the vacuum and pull the trigger, it'd fire. It means combustion works in vacuums, so combustion works in space. And combustion is all you need to generate thrust.
Well, that doesn't exactly add up.
How not?
Because if you fire a gun that has like a cartridge, then there's still air inside the cartridge. You're not pulling a vacuum inside of the casing, so there's still air for it to burn.
Then there's air in the fuselage.
What?
There's air in the fuselage with the rocket.
How?
Because there is. When you fill it up, there'd be air trapped inside of it.
But the thrust is on the outside.
The thrust comes from combustion.
Okay.
Which generates thrust. That the combustion happening in this direction means that it goes in this direction.
But there's no oxygen to burn.
There's oxygen in the fuel. First of all, you don't need the oxygen for combustion. And second, that there would be air trapped inside the fuselage, naturally.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we've been to the moon?
Yes.
And why?
Because there's reflectors on the moon. They set up reflectors on the moon. If you have a laser powerful enough and you have a reader for the laser, and you point that laser at that specific spot on the moon, it will reflect back to you. And you can't do it on anywhere else on the moon, on the moon surface. Just that one spot.
Okay, besides that. Because you told me about that yesterday, but I've never heard that before in my entire life.
Look it up. I'm sure
reflectors on the moon?
Yeah. Look up a reflector laser test on the moon.
Reflector laser test on moon. The lunar laser ranging experiment.
That might be it.
That looks incredibly fake.
No.
Like, what is this nonsense?
What do you mean?
I don't see it. Where's the reflector?
That's a reflector.
Right there?
Yes.
That?
Yes.
That ain't nothing.
Yes, it is. Scroll down. There's a picture. There's an up close picture of it.
That?
There. Yeah.
That looks like a honeycomb.
It's a reflector. What, do you expect, a giant mirror?
Oh, I didn't mean to click on that. Is there a video of this?
I imagine there is. Just go back and look on YouTube.
A video that's not like incredibly boring to watch. It's not going to make me want to.
I mean,
jump out a window.
Skip through it. The laser, you can't see the laser come back. It's just reading.
Oh, so you can't see it.
Of course you can't see it.
It's just supposedly making.
If you take a laser,
making invisible.
If you took a laser on the ground and shown it,
then I don't even want to see it. If you cannot see it, and it's just magically making readings.
Okay, if you go in under the assumption that anything you cannot see with your own eyes is not real, then science would never progress to anywhere, ever.
I didn't say anything that you can't see isn't real.
So you have to see the laser in order to believe it's real.
Well, if you're shining a laser, right, you can see it when you're shining it, right?
For a certain distance, yeah.
If you can see it and it's going and then being reflected back, you should be able to see it when it comes back.
It's hundreds of thousands of miles away.
But it gets there, doesn't it?
Yes, very faintly, very very faintly, too faint for the naked eye.
So there's no way to see it when it comes back.
Not with your eyes.
Is there like a device that you could see it with?
I don't know, maybe.
Your theory's falling apart here.
How? Because you can't see it?
This doesn't even sound real.
How does it not sound real?
How does it sound real?
Because it makes sense. If you were to bounce a laser off of a reflector and have something that is able to read that small enough of a light signal, then if it does read that light came back to you, that makes sense.
What about the moon landing?
Moon landing, I don't know for sure about moon landing because there's so many ways it could have been faked. I don't think it was faked personally because the fact that there is a reflector on the moon means that we had to be on the moon to put it there, and there is a reflector on the moon, by the way.
I don't know if there's a reflector on the moon.
But the first moon landing, I mean, it could have been faked. It could be real. I don't know for sure.
Because here's my problem with the moon landing. How did they film everything perfectly?
What do you mean perfectly?
Like everything, like all the video is like as good as it can be.
Not as good as it's not perfect. It's old.
I mean, it's from the 60s.
Yeah.
Which brings up my next question. Why haven't we been back in 40 years?
We've been there.
50 years.
There's no point. It's expensive beyond belief, and there's nothing to do that we haven't already done. What else are we gonna do on the moon? Excavate?
I don't know. Why haven't we been back?
There's no point.
If it's such
There's no point going back. What else are we gonna do on it? What else is there to do? We've played golf on the moon. We've ridden golf carts on the moon. We've
played golf on the moon.
Yes, you never seen the videos.
Who played golf on the moon?
The original astronauts. I believe it was.
They played golf on the moon.
I'm pretty sure it was Neil Armstrong played golf on the moon.
I don't believe that for a second.
Look it up. They played golf on the moon.
Playing golf on the moon. Apollo 14, Alan Shepard, golf, age 47.
That might be it. You'll find videos.
NASA Apollo astronauts playing golf on the moon. This video looks kind of narrated, but we'll go with it. This one right here?
God, this is an ad? Oh, no.
No,
humans can naturally be a bit mischievous.
We don't want to see the whole video.
115 yards, hit a concrete path, and took off.
Where's that?
This is probably it. Yeah.
This video looks horrible.
It's 60s.
But the video I saw of the moon landing looks like way...
Well, they must have went back and cleaned it up. Because they did that for a lot of the footage. They cleaned it up.
Like this is a fake picture. Where's this at?
Connection, sending it miles and miles, as he said. Chances are it didn't go miles, but estimates have suggested that a good connection with the ball, combined with the moon's low gravity and no atmosphere, the ball would have been sent 1 mile, or 1,760 yards.
You think they get charged for littering on the moon?
Had a more mobile spacesuit.
If we were charging people for littering in outer space, then all the major cell phone companies would be the worst offenders. The amount of satellites in the atmosphere is kind of insane.
All this is garbage. That video, that's like the most trash video I've ever seen. What else have they done on the moon? What else did you say?
They rode golf.
Because that golfing on the moon, that was trash.
They rode some kind of cart. There's like some. Kind of
have you ever watched? This is suspicious to me. Have you ever watched the post moon landing interview?
No.
Of what was the first moon mission? Apollo 11.
Yeah.
I think it's like 4 hours long, but I think there's a specific part that I can find. This right here, this timestamp. The whole time through this entire interview, all these guys look like they have a gun to their head throughout the entire interview, and they look like they have no emotion throughout the entire interview, and they look terrified to say something wrong throughout the entire interview. Like, it's really creepy.
When we actually descended the ladder, it was found to be very much like the lunar gravity simulations we had performed here on Earth. No difficulty was encountered in descending the ladder. The last step was about 3.5 feet from the surface.
See how unsure he sounds?
We're somewhat concerned that we might have difficulty in re-entering the limb at the end of our activity period, so we practiced that before doing the exercise of bringing the camera down, which took the subsequent surface pictures. Here you see the camera being lowered.
Does that just not sound weird to you?
I mean,
Like his tone and like just the way that he's like fidgeting and he's like shaky and he's like trying so hard not to miss, like not to say anything wrong.
I mean, I guess, but it doesn't. It's not like it's not actually as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like
there,
like
there are parts where they look like they literally, if they misspeak, they're going to die.
Was that the worst part? That timestamp was like
no, that wasn't the way. That was I'd have to go through here and find the worst spot. If for the people that are watching this, if you just want to go through and watch the whole hour and a half, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But the whole time, there's multiple times where like somebody asks them a question, and like somebody will ask them a question, and they'll just be like, "Oh well," like you can just tell that they're like trying to like remember like what they're supposed to say. Like it's very creepy. It doesn't seem like any post interview of anything I've ever seen in my life. Like you wouldn't think that these were three guys that just did something that was like gonna change the world. It looks like three guys that are being held hostage with guns to their head that are being forced to do this.
Mm-hmm.
It's what it is, the vibe that it gives off.
I'd have to watch that thing, honestly. I'd have to watch more of it to get an opinion. Like from what I saw, they seemed a bit nervous, but like I mean they were speaking to the entire world.
That's just like a little snippet. Yeah. But it gets way worse. But I wouldn't be surprised if the whole moon landing and going to space was all fake.
See, now here's an interesting question: what is the purpose of faking it? What does the government gain out of faking going to space and all this?
And I have the answer for you.
Mm-hmm.
That way, they can use NASA to launder tax dollars.
So that's what NASA is. It's just a massive dump for exchanging money for bribes, essentially.
Yes,
that's what you think it is.
Yes, because NASA, since everything is all space, it's all the unknown, they can do anything wrong that they want. They don't necessarily have to like have concrete evidence of anything, and it's all space. It's all new. There's not really a good way for someone to prove them wrong either from like what they're showing, unless you have enough money to build your own space program and go up there and say, "Hey, they did this wrong. It's actually this way."
Well, you're a national community,
and they can. The government, they say that they give NASA like I forget how much money a year, but they say it's like not much. But who knows how much they really give NASA? And for them to justify NASA existing, they have to show some type of progress to the public so that we don't get upset about our tax dollars funding NASA. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And
it seems like an extremely overcomplicated way to do it, though. Like I've seen ways that that are like sketchy, like the $70,000 lobster experiment on a treadmill. Like that's obviously like just
someone. That's only $70,000. That's not billions of dollars.
I know, but like there of all the ways you could try to
let me figure out what NASA's budget is.
Like of all the ways you could try to figure out a way for the government to exchange money under the table without people getting suspicious of it, this just seems like so much work.
The budget's
so much work.
$22 billion a year. So that's $22 billion of free dollars that they get to launder.
It seems so like, is it possible? Sure. Is it practical, or like does it make much sense? Not really. Like it's so over the top, insanely overcomplicated.
Why is it? It's not that complicated.
It is. You'd have to make up the idea of all of this.
All they have to do is show some type of progress.
They have to convince the scientific community of what they're showing to be true, and the scientific community is like super.
The scientific community can't disprove it because they're not going.
But
they don't know what's going on.
They can use math. The international scientific community make a question like, how did you guys figure out the amount of the correct mixture for your rocket fuel to get to space? And they can use the information that they have based on what we've known for well over 1,000 years now about the our sources.
Who do you think made the first discoveries
of what
to have the math?
The first discoveries of what? Space?
Not space, but like the math had to start somewhere.
This math of what?
Whatever they're trying to figure out. It had to start somewhere.
I'm just giving you an example, like rocket fuel, or like orbiting, or like travel time. Like you'd have to have all the math perfect, or the scientific community will just take it apart. So the amount of time and effort you'd have to invest in trying to make sure that the mathematical and the scientific community can't prove you wrong, and like the amount of resources you'd have to dedicate just towards that alone, it's
not much.
It's so much
because the government controls the information.
Not all of it. Not the international community.
Yeah.
No. America doesn't have a monopoly on all information in the entire world.
Not the whole world.
And someone would come forward. The amount of information being exchanged.
You know what happens to the people that come forward? They die. They get killed.
Every single one of them.
They get suicided.
Every single one of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Another theory is that I could get down with this theory. Is that space is completely fake, or maybe not completely fake. Maybe it's just that we've never been there or whatever. But that NASA exists solely to explore, quote unquote, space, so that at some point in the future, the government can use space as this like impending doom outside force to force the world into a one world government.
I mean,
because nothing else is gonna pull the world together and get everyone to give up all of their rights and pull into a one world government, other than some massive outside impending force that like you can force everyone into like agreeing.
NASA alone being able to pull that off seems insane.
Because it's not just NASA; it would be the whole government. It'd be all the governments.
The
together.
U.S. government, all the governments coming together for one thing.
All the governments.
Sure. Because that's happened. But that's happened like once in all of human history. You know what it was for? It was for reducing the amount of carbon dioxide we were emitting to the atmosphere. And actually, our president pulled out of that group. So the entire world still like now with that being retracted, we have never come through and came together as a species on one thing and stuck. Not once in all of human history has that ever happened.
Because we haven't been forced. But if everyone starts portraying this like alien this alien attack, this whatever outside force that's like, if we don't do this and all come together, then we're gonna die.
So many
people will come together faster than you would ever believe.
You're overestimating humanity. I'm sorry to say.
What do you think? Everyone's just gonna be like, nope, I'm gonna sit here and die.
A lot of people are gonna think, I would rather die than you come fight on the same side as those American devils or those damn Afghanistans.
You think?
Or yeah, because people hate each other. Suicide bombers, just to get at our country. Like
that's a handful of people.
It's a lot of people in the Middle East. There are so many people that would give their lives to see America crumble. They would gladly let themselves die if it meant the death of America.
Okay, so that's like probably a couple hundred people.
Couple thousand. Try that.
Okay, a couple thousand. Out of the whole population of the world, that's nothing.
It's still that's the
extreme. Those people don't have any authority.
That's the extreme of the extreme of the extreme. The governments, there are still people, like many governments, that would rather just not, that would rather just like fight on their own than coming together with America. People
if coming together is going to make them rich,
they don't care about. There a lot of them just don't believe that this world matters that much. They believe that their ancestors would spit down on them and they go to hell or wherever they believe in. If like they'd rather die and go wherever they want to go in the afterlife than side with the American devils and die in hell when the Americans lead them to their demise. People despise one another, and they will probably always despise one another to the point where they die before coming together.
I think like an impending doom alien attack or
We've had
something.
so many impending dooms. So many people have come out and said, "Everybody, the world is
No,
going
that's
to end."
no, that's all fake.
So what
No,
makes it true? What makes it true? The government saying it's true. The government's done that before, and it didn't work.
No, not like you're thinking like 2012, like the Mayan calendar, like that kind of stuff. That has like nothing backing it up.
That's happened throughout history so many times. There's no way even counting it. The Mayans believed for sure that the entire world was ending when the Spanish conquistadors rolled up on them with their diseases and their gunpowder. They thought for sure that the gods were coming to destroy their entire world, and it was just overreacting.
You think?
Mm-hmm. The Day of Black Sun. You ever heard of that in the Mayan culture?
The what?
I believe it was the Day of Black Sun. It was when the Spanish conquistadors were attempting to overthrow the Mayan Empire, and they got lucky, and there was a solar eclipse that happened, and they chose that solar eclipse day to make their final assault, and they completely obliterated this massive holy city, and they convinced the Mayan people that these people are demons. They are gods sent to destroy us all.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And what happened?
So the conquistadors won. They won with that fear factor. They convinced the Mayans.
So it worked.
Yeah, the conquistadors actually would never.
So you don't think the government could convince people that the world's going to end?
The Mayan people died rather than join the conquistadors. Like almost the entirety of the Mayans were wiped out by disease from conquistadors. Only like I think it was like less than 70,000 lived by the end of it. The entire race.
I still think they could pull it off.
Sure.
Especially if they used like all the technology we have now, with all the CGI and all the stuff that they could like.
I think that also works both ways though. Like if the government came forward and showed a video of this giant alien spaceship the size of Earth coming at us, and people would be, people on all the social medias would be like picking it apart, saying, "Oh, see, this is fake because this is how it's fake." So people can tell when they're CGI. You can use computers to tell when something's computer generated. People can pick apart CGI.
People still believe we went to the moon. That's all, most of that's CGI.
It doesn't, because they haven't picked it apart means that's actually part of what's convincing that it's not CGI. Because there are so many videos online of people looking at something that looks real life, like lifelike CGI, and showing exactly how it's not lifelike. Like showing all the small flaws in it. So there's always gonna be a flaw. CGI ages. It always ages. It always will age. Even the best technology, like Disney's newest Lion King movie, lifelike, it will age and it will look completely fake within like 10 years.
No. Because you're assuming that technology is going to keep increasing at the rate it's been increasing.
There's nothing to suggest it wouldn't.
Yeah, there is.
We've been increasing exponentially for what, over 100 years now?
No.
Yes.
Technology doesn't evolve like that. It's like
it has been evolving like that.
It goes like from because think before like probably the early 90s, computers like didn't even exist. Like the internet wasn't even a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then from the 90s to now, it's like so all the way up to the 90s, it's like a flat line, and then it goes like straight up to like now. And then it's just gonna kind of level off.
The internet isn't like the peak of technology. We went from having no idea.
I'm not talking about the internet. I'm talking about all of technology up until now.
I know, but like just because
we can only
because we didn't have just because we went like 90.
We're not going to progress much higher than what we are now.
How? Why not?
Why? How would we? Because you can't I forget what it is. There's like a certain law of something, but like you can't quit squeaking your chair. There's like a certain law of something. Like you can only increase so much. Just like, perfect example. Just like fast cars. Mm-hmm. Like in the 20s, a fast car was like 30 miles an hour. And they kept getting faster and faster and faster and faster. And then now they're up against the point where cars are pretty much as fast as they can ever be. And then now whenever one gets faster, it's like 1 or a half a mile an hour faster. They're not like getting 20 or 30 miles an hour faster like every few years. See what I'm saying?
That's for cars. Cars have been around for a long time. Cars
have been around for a long time. Technology's only been around for like...
Technology's been around forever. What? Technology is what makes human beings and not animals.
What are you talking about?
Talking about technology and just in general? Technology in general?
Like modern technology.
Modern technology.
Like computers,
Here's-
phones,
here's the thing
internet,
about modern
electronics.
New inventions are constantly being created. There are more inventions being made on a daily basis than ever in human history, and those inventions, the ones that are good at least, get taken even
So
further.
how long do you think technology is going to increase at this rate?
I don't think technology is ever going to stop increasing exponentially. I think it'll always increase exponentially.
No,
I do.
We're pretty much at the peak.
Oh no, I don't think we're close to the peak.
I'd say we're 80% to the peak.
No.
Yeah.
No. I just don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
Because it can only get so much better.
No.
Like things if things have gotten so good so fast, like it's just you can't do much better.
No.
Like think about like cameras. So like say in let's say like early 2000s. Or not early 2000s. Yeah, early 2000s. Like the year 2000, most cameras were film cameras. And then like the first digital cameras were probably like, I don't know, just off the top of my head, let's say 1 megapixel.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have cameras that are like, and then like say a few years later, they might have had a 2 or a 3 megapixel camera. So the megapixel, so like the quality was increasing by 50%. So then now we have cameras that are like, I think an average camera now is probably like 30 to 50 megapixels. So they're not going to start doing like
There's
100 megapixel cameras and then 2 and 3 and 400 megapixel cameras. You see what I'm saying? Like it can only increase so much.
That's with one technology. See, like it is a
all technology has that point. Like internet speed, a high-speed internet used to be like 3 megabytes a second.
But newer technologies are being technology evolves. It goes past just being a camera. It turns into a video camera. It turns into a computer-generated image.
What I'm saying is, it's like that with everything.
But everything evolves in a certain way, and there's branches.
And everything
out.
is getting to the peak.
No,
like okay, take these microphones that we're talking into right now, for example.
Mm-hmm.
A microphone that was this good, that sounded this good, in the 80s. Would have been like $600, $700, $800. These microphones are $100.
That's just things becoming more available.
Everything is evolving. Everything is getting getting to the peak.
Like each individual technology does have like a what you call a depreciating growth. What is it? It gets like the higher it gets, it reaches a certain cap, and it starts just like it still gets better, but gets better at a much slower rate. But it branches off into much more.
That's what I'm saying. Everything has that point.
But it keeps branching out. But
like
new technologies keep coming out.
Like
that surpass the old ones.
Like TVs. Okay, we had like 240p TVs. Okay,
mm-hmm.
that was garbage. And then we went to 480.
Yeah, and then eventually
480 was a giant step above 240.
Yeah,
and then or 360. What was 240 to 360, and then 360 to 480 was a huge jump. And then 480 to 720 was like insane, high definition.
Mm-hmm.
And then 720 to 1080 was insane. And then 1080 to 4K, massive.
Yeah.
But then now, or not massive, but not as big as like from 240 to 360, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then now you have 4K. Whenever you look at like a 4K TV compared to like an 8K TV, even though it has twice as many pixels, it's not twice as good.
But here's the thing. Here's what you're overlooking.
And then if you get above 8K, you're not even going to be able to tell a difference.
Here's what you're overlooking though. So everything has a soft cap. All right, that's obvious. So let's say the soft cap for TVs is like 12K. 12K it doesn't get any better than that. Anything above that just looks the same. It is technically better, but it looks the same. But from 12K, you get something completely brand new that branches out like holograms or virtual reality, implants that make that use your eyes to play images instead of just looking at a screen. That sort of thing. The technology surpasses itself and branches out to these new, different, more sophisticated inventions that can do way more than the old ones can. See what I'm saying?
No.
Well,
I think we're at the peak.
I think you're limited by your creativity.
No.
I would suggest you to never pursue a field of science because you just be a killjoy. You're like a communist. you're like the communists. They're like the communists' main overarching belief is that there's no such thing as a perfect world. No, everyone else's world that looks better, they're just faking it. It's not actually that good. This is as good as it gets. Be happy with what you have.
Is that what they believe?
That's basically how communism works. There's like, don't strive for a perfect world because it doesn't exist. This is as good as it gets.
I mean, this isn't as good as it gets, but we're getting really close to as good as it gets.
No. And I think we've barely scratched the surface. I think the second that colonization happens, we'll start discovering new elements on new planets. The exponential rate of population growth with new planets being colonized and new resources being discovered.
What did you just say? New planets being colonized?
Yes.
Never
you don't think we're going to colonize. You never think we're going to colonize. I think the second we figure out terraforming, we're going to start exploding across the entire galaxy. We're just going to get into the trillions, trillions, and trillions of human people. And the amount of
trillions. You think we're going to get to trillions of people?
As long as nothing wipes us out, it's stupid, like a meteor hitting the Earth and us not doing anything about it, or us killing ourselves due to a disease or a war. As long as nothing kills us on Earth.
Let's circle back to the dinosaur. Do you think dinosaurs were real?
Yes.
And do you think a meteor took them out?
I don't think. Well, obviously, a meteor didn't take all of them out, but a lot of them, yeah.
How?
Because the meteor hitting the Earth at that speed.
I've always wondered, how would a meteor take them out?
This is what happens. A meteor, a big enough, traveling fast enough. So this is the Earth. All right. This is the surface.
The Earth is flat, but that'll work.
I mean, I'm using this as an example. So this is the Earth. All right. This is the Earth's surface. The Earth's crust. Okay.
Okay.
So the surface of the Earth is flat. It's plane. All right.
Right. It is flat.
Then a meteor comes in certain speed, enough force, and instead of just hitting the ground and making a big boom, it completely shakes up the entire Earth's surface. The entire thing completely covered in molten rock, and eventually it settles back down. All life that exists continues on. It restarts essentially the evolutionary cycle, but eventually the rock cools down. Planets come back.
So you're saying that a meteor would hit the Earth with such force that it would shake the whole Earth?
It would cause the entire Earth's surface to be completely covered with molten rock. The Earth would.
How would it cover the whole thing in molten rock?
Because the amount of force would
it just be like a worldwide earthquake?
It wouldn't be an earthquake. It'd be the entire world would be completely covered in. The entire world would be red. It'd just be lava.
Would it be from the meteor?
Yes.
It would hit the Earth and then spread out?
No, the meteor would hit. It would travels however deep it goes into the Earth's core, and the amount of pressure, the amount of heat. It's the friction that makes the heat. The amount of friction that would come from a piece of space hitting Earth that hard at that speed, the amount of friction would generate so much heat. Yeah, the explosion would generate so much heat that it would just completely shatter the entire surface of the Earth. It'd be covered with molten rock. So the entire Earth's surface would become liquid. It'd just be nothing but liquid, several 1,000-degree hot liquid. And eventually it would settle and everything would go back, everything would restart. And the life would come back, and whoever survives it, however they do, then they would continue on. Because 99% of the species that used to live on Earth have been wiped out by one thing or another.
So I don't buy that. I just don't see how something like it would. I mean, I could see that maybe if something the size of Earth hit Earth.
No, it just takes. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be huge, but it has to be decent size.
Because I've read. Do you know offhand how big supposedly the meteor was that took out the dinosaurs?
I'm not sure.
Because I've read the size and it was not that big.
It doesn't, as long as the size does not matter that much. It's the speed at which it's traveling. If a tennis ball flies hard enough at that wall,
no, that definitely matters.
Well, the size does matter, but speed is more important because speed is what really generates force. If you took a cap from a bottle and hurled it at someone. And
11 kilometers in diameter is what they estimate.
11 kilometers. That's pretty big. And how fast is it traveling, do you think?
I don't think it says. I don't see offhand how fast. Let me just Google how fast. It was called Chicxulub Impactor. I don't even know why you would name it that.
Must be something foreign.
"20 kilometers per second."
20 kilometers per second. That is insane.
44,000 miles per hour.
That is insanely fast.
Roughly 20 times the speed of a rifle bullet.
Yeah. So imagine that thing that big hitting us that hard.
That does not make sense at all.
Yes.
Because they said it was 11 kilometers in diameter, which is how many miles is that? That's 20 something miles.
Yeah.
So something 20 something miles is going to hit the giant Earth
at that speed
and destroy
at,
everything.
At that speed. You have any idea how fast that is?
44,000 miles an hour?
Yes. For something
that's fast.
Big, for something that big, that's what makes the difference. Something that big would generate so much force on impact.
What if
so much force?
What if it lands in the ocean?
Same story.
Do you think that would happen?
Yeah, it doesn't matter how, because it's so fast that the water wouldn't put up much resistance. It would just get part of it so fast. It would hit.
You don't think that the water would?
It wouldn't catch it. It wouldn't stop it. I mean, the damage would be lessened because the
I don't even think that we would. I don't even think that we would know about it.
What? You don't think we'd know about it?
No.
You don't think that a meteor that big, that
I mean,
fast,
we might see some like big waves.
It would cause, first of all, if it did land in the ocean, it would still have that molten effect if it was that size, traveling that speed.
All right, hold on. How deep is the deepest part of the ocean?
I don't know exactly. It's deep, pretty deep.
Well, the deepest part's
Mariana Trench, I believe.
Yeah, Mariana Trench is the deepest, but how deep is it? It's 36,000 feet deep.
44,000 per second. 1 second.
44,000 miles an hour.
An hour?
44,000 miles
a second. That's still.
It was 20 kilometers a second,
which
is
fast.
Which is 44,000 miles an hour. So if that fell on top of Mariana's Trench, wouldn't even know about it.
How would we not know about it?
How would we know about it? That much
an
depth.
Earthquake causes tsunamis.
That much depth.
That much. The water displacement would be insane. The water displacement would cause the entire.
I mean, we'd get wet. Well, we'd probably be sitting here and we'd be like, "Oh, there it is," and then it'd be like a big wave.
We'd be wiped off.
No, we would not.
Water would completely flood over everything.
No, we would not be wiped off the map.
Completely. The amount. Have you seen the size of the tsunamis that happen just through underwater earthquakes? And you don't think the meteor would much heavier hitting than an underwater earthquake?
No.
You're insane.
You're insane.
No. Look, this is how it works, okay?
No.
I'm telling you.
Tell me how it works.
This is how it works. Okay, it's something that big, with that much mass, traveling that fast, generates so much friction and so much force on impact that it doesn't matter if there's water or not, it will just go straight through whatever it hits. It'll bury itself into the Earth's, past the crust. And the amount of force it will generate, the amount of disruption that will be caused, it will just rip apart. Like, it'll be like when you drop a pebble into water, that's what the Earth's surface will look like. It'll just be
just a little splash.
Across
I said.
But a little splash that causes the entire Earth's surface to completely become upturned into molten rock for thousands of years.
Why would it be molten rock?
Because the heat. You know why Earth's core is hot?
Why?
Because whenever Earth was formed,
how does Earth's core stay hot?
Because
I don't understand that either.
The heat has been contained for so long because the heat from
I don't believe that.
How planets are made.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a second.
This is how planets are made. Earth is a planet. Earth was made the same way all planets are made. Planets are made when space debris, so gases, pieces of dirt, rock, ice, all those things come together and they condense through gravity. So a big asteroid slams into another big asteroid, and those two big asteroids have enough gravitational pull because bigger things with more mass have gravity of their own. They have enough gravity to pull in more things, more gases, more ice shards, more meteors, and they smash together. When they smash together, they have so much force. They generate an insane amount of heat, and they're just massive glowing balls of molten rock. And then eventually they just keep crashing into each other until they stop crashing together and they start to condense. They just crash down to this tiny little ball of molten rock. And eventually, over a long period of time, it cools. It cools from the outside in. And our core is still hot because it hasn't cooled. The deeper in it goes, the more time it takes to cool. So we're still, our Earth's core is still cooling off from the impacts that we had so long ago that made our planet where it is.
I don't believe that for a second.
That's how it works.
How would the heat be contained that long? And even furthermore, okay, so if two asteroids or whatever slam into each other to make a planet, right? Or like say the asteroid or whatever hits Earth and then everybody dies. If that happens and everybody's dead, how do we know that's what happened? because there's no one around to tell the story.
You don't have to watch it. You don't have to see
How would anybody ever
through
ever be able
calculations.
calculations of
Mathematical
what?
calculations.
Of
and,
what?
and by studying other things that happen around us. We use how science works. We understand how it happened in the past by looking at what happened around us and using them as reference points and using math to calculate what would have happened back then. And we run through every single explanation until we find one that makes perfect logical sense.
But you can make anything make sense.
Not really. Anything can be debunked unless it is perfectly sound, which almost nothing really is. Everything's still in question. Everything's a theory. There's
exactly. Everything's a theory.
But if you don't have...
So we don't know.
But it's better to say, okay, we have a pretty good idea. This is probably how it works, and we have absolutely no idea how this works, and we shouldn't try to make it work. That's how the scientific process works.
Well, we shouldn't try to slam anything into the earth.
We're not. We just know that because we've seen how it. Other thing, we have simulations. We have math that shows how it could happen, and we have observations. We have using telescopes. We can see. They can find pieces of rock in outer space that is hot because it glows like a star.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe it.
Okay.
I don't understand how the core of the earth stays hot.
Because it's that heat. The heat's trapped inside from all.
How does it get trapped for that long?
Because it's just condensed.
How many years has it been down there?
So much heat.
How many years? How many years has it been down there?
Long. Well, it started from the outside in. So the Earth's surface has been cool since the last asteroid strike which was what, a few million years ago.
Checked like I know.
14.
It was last week. Billy was telling me about it.
The last major actual asteroid strike that completely disrupted the Earth's surface was, I believe, 14 million years ago. That was the one that destroyed the dinosaurs.
So okay, so let's say 14 million years. So you're telling me after 14 million years, it still hasn't cooled down?
The Earth's core wasn't heated up from that. It was heated up from the first impacts that created the planet in the first place.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Every planet has a core that's hot. Every single planet.
Every single one?
Just about. The only ones that don't are the ones that have been around for a long time.
And this has been proven.
It's what we know. It's the best guess we have. There's no way to 100% for a fact prove that something is right. You can just make your best guess. That's how science works.
Has anybody ever took a sample of the core of the Earth? Has that ever been done?
Down there. There's no way down there. It's just
an estimate.
Everything's an estimate. Every single thing that we have is an estimate.
So no one's ever been able to. I mean, I know this sounds crazy, but no one's ever to stick a temperature probe down there. Been like, oh, it's really hot.
There's no metal that can survive the heat.
What temperature do they estimate that it is?
Look it up. I don't know the exact, but it's it's pretty hot.
You should be a scientist. It's pretty hot. Hey, how hot is that? It's pretty hot.
Pretty hot. If I knew the exact, way of determining it.
Core of Earth
temperature.
10,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
10,000 degrees, okay.
I don't feel like that's that hot.
10,000 degrees?
10,000 degrees doesn't seem like it's that hot.
You don't think that's that hot?
No.
Just because we can replicate that heat doesn't mean that it's not that hot.
Can we replicate that heat?
I believe so. I don't see why I couldn't. But there are ovens that can cook,
Yeah, that's not that hot because my flamethrower I think is 2,000 or 3,000 degrees.
But still, the amount. I'm not sure. If there probably is I think tungsten. I think tungsten is the metal that has the highest melting point, but tungsten isn't good for measuring heat. Everything that you use to measure
a
heat.
blowtorch is 2,600 degrees.
Yeah.
So if you take 4 of them and put them together, that's the core of the Earth.
Yeah, but you couldn't. In order to measure something, you have to actually get something down there that's used for measurement, and everything that we use for measurement, I'm pretty sure, just couldn't stand it.
What's the hottest point we can measure? I wonder.
Oh. I
bet it's never been done.
I mean,
I bet it's not even hot down there.
You're just gonna, take an elevator down there, just spend a week at the sweat lodge in the middle of the earth.
What do you mean?
It's not that hot. You just sweat it out.
No, well, why don't you riddle me this?
Mm-hmm.
If the core of the Earth is so hot, how come the closer we get to it, it's cold?
Well, here's the thing. It's hotter really, 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 really deep. but there's a space between the surface of the Earth where the sunlight hits and warms it up, and there's a space between the core where it's colder than it is on the surface, because the surface is getting exposed to sunlight and gases and things like that heat it up. But below the surface, there's air pockets, but there's hardly any air. It's not being exposed to sunlight. It's just rock. It's just rock and dirt that has no access to any heat sources of any kind. So it gets really, really, really cold. And you go beyond a certain point and it starts to heat back up because you're getting closer to the core, which is hot. So
do you think, what if, maybe if one day if I have the money, I'll fund this project. What if you started in Mariana's Trench and started drilling towards the core of the Earth? And the closer you get to the core, you have the freezing cold water from Mariana's Trench cooling it down. Do you think you would get to the core?
I mean, the water would evaporate. Obviously, it just turned to mist when you get to the really hot parts.
You don't think there would be enough of the ocean to cool it down?
No,
it would just run in there. It'd just be a giant hole, and it'd just fill full of water. There would have be a never-ending supply of water. Do you think it would just heat up the entire ocean?
There's no such thing as a never-ending supply of water.
What do you mean?
You don't know that? All the matter that is on Earth is all there will ever be, unless asteroids fall on Earth. The amount of water we have on Earth is the same amount of water we'll always have on Earth, unless we get more water.
Right. It's never ending.
But it's not never ending. But
if you went to the bottom of Mariana's Trench and you drill a hole, it's always going to be full of water. Always.
But you'd lower the water level of everywhere else.
What?
The amount of water that you displace, the oceans would lower in level. So you
we're not talking about, we're not digging a hole the size of a continent,
but then
all the way down to the core.
Unless you dig a deep, a wide enough hole, you're not going to let enough water in to actually do anything. It's just going to evaporate.
It'd be like a 10-foot hole.
That's not enough.
What do you mean?
It's not enough.
10 feet?
No.
That's not enough to cool it down?
No. You have any idea how big it is?
How big what is?
The core of the Earth.
The closer we get, it'll fill full of water. What are you talking about?
That's not how it works.
So what do you think? What do you?
Neither of us are educated enough to be having this discussion seriously.
I am. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm basically a scientist.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you took if you had a 10-foot auger and you just dug straight down all the way to the core and say until the thing started melting, what do you think would happen? Do you think that the water down at the bottom would just boil away forever?
I think it just eventually the water would. I feel like what would happen is that the water would make contact with the first bit of magma, or is it lava? I forget which one is. There's magma, and there's lava,
and it would make an island.
No, it would whatever.
Just like a volcano.
The hot spot where it hits would just cool off. That particular hot spot would cool into a piece of rock and just serve as a divide. So here's the lava, here's the water.
So water you keep drilling through the rock.
It's divided by the rock.
Would it be like obsidian?
Well, you just keep on running into
in Minecraft, and you just can't get through it.
I mean, it would be something obsidian-like, I'm sure.
Would we be able to get through it, or would it be like Minecraft? Once it's there, you just kind of.
Each time you remove a layer, a new one would pop up immediately in its place.
So you got to keep drilling.
I mean, yeah. Eventually, you'd probably break your drill.
I don't like this. I want to get to the core.
Have you ever seen the movie Journey to the Center of the Earth?
No.
It's not a very good movie.
Is it stupid?
It's a dumb movie. Yeah.
Is it meant to be stupid?
No. It's not like a good dumb movie. It's not a horrible movie. It's the movie is like this.
Is it meant to be real?
It uses a Hollywood science, they explain everything through, the way it works is that the quantum mechanics stabilization magnetic process. They just throw a bunch of scientific sounding words together and hope that the audience isn't smart enough to see through it.
Right.
But so they use that a lot because it's supposed to be a science movie, where they go to the center of the Earth and they're explaining, they drill down to the center of the Earth or close to the center of the Earth, and they find this massive pocket, this continent-sized pocket of air and gas. And there's at the top of this pocket is like an oil pocket, but it's a giant one. And at the top of the pocket, there's this massive collection of gas, which they say acts like a sun, like a miniature sun, underneath the ground, and it provides sunlight that makes all this other life form. There's an ocean at the center of the Earth. There's jungles with giant plant life. There's a T-Rex in the center of the Earth, and all that just kind of living there because the quantum stabilization mechanic magnetic theory obviously shows that the quantum looping of the blah 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 blah.
Oh, jeez. All right. We've been going at this for 2 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
God.
Do you have anything else of substance to say?
Oh, I didn't talk about Blue Boy.
We don't have time to talk about Blue Boy.
Okay. I don't know my mind. No.
My mind is numb.
Yeah.
You've officially made me stupid.
I've lost brain cells from talking to you.
I've lost brain cells from talking to you.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
All right, you got anything?
No.
All right. We're going to end it right there.